Tez Zayin, beginning of the page. Okay, this Maimer is connected to the pasuk Vavam Zokim Bo Bayomim. So he says, Lahavim Hasham Azal, understand what the Mishnah says. Yosef Shachas B'tshuva Ma'asim Tov Be'el Mazeh Mikol Chayil Mabah. One turning 1 hour of Torah mitzvahs in this world, Tshuva Ma'asim Tov is better than the whole world to come. We need to understand, Alitach is Tshuva Ma'asim Tovim. The whole purpose of Tshuva Ma'asim Tovim is is to become garments for the neshama. In other words, like this, it says that in what he quotes from the Zohar, the purpose of Tshuva Ma'asim Tovim is to create garments for the neshama in Gan Eden. In other words, the Rabbi explains in Tanya, the neshama, in order to have the benefit in Gan Eden, it needs to have food and clothing. So the food for the neshama is the Torah that learned in this world. Mitzvahs are the garments for the neshama in Gan Eden, because the neshama in Gan Eden also needs food and clothing, spiritually, obviously. So l'chayda, he's asking like this: how can you say Tshuva Ma'asim Tovim are better than the whole Olam Haba, when the whole purpose of mitzvahs is to create garments for the neshama to be able to handle Olam Haba, which means Olam Haba is greater. K'mayim and Azar and the pasuk. Avram Zokim Ba Bayomim. Avram was old coming in days. L'chayda is redundant. He said Be'in Yen Yemen Eloim. He says in those days Ba Bayomim. What do you mean Ba Bayomim? Not coming physical in days. It means coming in the spiritual spheres of above. Vailolo Gavra. Woe is to the person, God Yemen Eloim, that takes off from the sphere. Many woe is to the guy that wastes his time. The pagam because when a person doesn't utilize the time, he's not baba yomim, he ends up having a pagam and a blemish that those days that he didn't utilize to the fullest are blemished days. Okay, so now Rabbi asked the question, l'chayda, Torah mitzvahs is for the sake of Gan Eden, and here we're saying that's greater than Gan Eden. The ray of the Shechina that exists in Olam Haba, the Gemara says, Tzadikin Yeshvin, Vatrasem Beroshehem, V'nenim is of Shechina. They have enough in the ray of the Shechina. Is not similar to the manifestation and revelation of Elokus, which gives life to the world. The pasuk says, "You, Hashem, gives life to everything." What does that mean? That the Chayes Elokus that comes into the world to make it exist, it's not understood, it's not grasped. Okay? Commercial. He says like this. He gives a mashal. His pashtus achayis shal neshama teicha guf. When the neshama comes into the body, and all of a sudden the body is alive. And not only is the body generally alive, every limb, the eye see and the mouth talks and the hands write, whatever. It comes into every detailed limb of the body. There's no question that in the spiritual life of the neshama coming into the body, you can't say that the chayis of let me say that. I'll say it and explain in a second. It says like this: when the neshama comes into the body, it gives life to the body. He said that's completely not understood from our perspective. Why? Because you're saying the power of sight goes into the eye. That means the neshama is divided up. Now, in our understanding, ruchnius is not something that could be divided up physically. Here we're talking, the neshama comes into the guf, so the neshama's part goes physically into the eye to see. The neshama goes into the mouth to talk. So, there's something we can't get. There's no way we can understand it. And therefore, the same way, when Hashem Elokus comes into the world, there's no way we can understand it. How an infinite God becomes a finite power to give power to build trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of finite creatures. And the effect of the chayis in the nivroim, nika v'nira. That's noticeable. In other words, how do we know we have a neshama? We don't know what the neshama is. We understand the neshama's existence from its function. The fact that we could see means I have a neshama. Dead people can't see. The fact that I could talk is because I have a neshama with me. But what it is, when it is, how it is, that we have no understanding of it. We know the functioning of the neshama. And he says, the effect of the neshama in the body is noticeable. But what the neshama is, what the essence of the neshama is, we have no understanding whatsoever. We know we have a neshama. The Chassidus uses the expression, we know the metzius of the neshama. We know the existence of the neshama, because it's functioning. But what the mahus, what the essence of the neshama is, that we have no understanding what it is. And the same thing in alukus in the world. The kemerkin chayes alukus and mechaya kol elam is baligvul v'tachlis. This power of alukus that gives life to the physical world. You can't say that this spiritual power of Hashem has a limitation to it. Godliness is infinite. Derech Moshe, Chayes and Mechayes Eagle Kader HaShamayim. The Chayes that gives life to the ball of the heaven, the rotation of the things, right? You can't say, there's no way you can say, in the ruchniistic thing, Chayes, Shevtumunis Eagle, that it's a circle. You can't say if Hashem gives life to the circular thing of the universe, right? All the things go around in a circle, the spheres. You can't say that in ruchniistic Chayes there's round spheres. Rak shespashtus Chayes, but what does it mean? The manifestation of the Chayes is based on the Keli. Okay? Hamakabel Chayes. And he says, even though the Chayes, you want to see, the power of the sight, of the eye, of the nefesh, goes into the eye, or speech into the mouth. The Chayes itself, is not limited. You understand it from the neshama. He said the same thing from the neshama. It's the same thing in alukus. If the neshama functions that the eye can see, okay, that doesn't mean that the neshama has an eye section in it. It doesn't mean there's an eye section in it, or a mouth section in it, or a writing section in it. The neshama is ruchni. It comes into the body. It functions based on the keli. Again, the muscle, which is a battery, is power. There's no, you put a battery into thing A, it works, thing B, it works, it doesn't mean that the neshama has in it the power of giving light and moving and talking and walking or whatever it may be, or singing. What?
When we say prati.
Chayes prati means ruchniistic power is limited now to function in a detailed part of the body. But the ruchnius is not detailed eye. There's no eye section of the neshama.
We say chai plati or chai prati.
Even the chayes prati doesn't mean this power of sight becomes vision.
What?
Vision. That it's the eye section. It comes into the keli. This is what the keli is. It functions based on the keli. So the sphere of the world, because Chayes Eloki comes into that level, so the world functions in a circular motion. And he says, so he says, it's not a ray of the Shekhinah that we understand. All we can understand in this world and again it gives a mashal of the neshama in the body, we understand the functioning, what we know, we are aware of, the metzius, the existence, not what the existence is. What the neshama is, we can't understand. Okay? So the Alter Rebbe is explaining the Chayei Eliki in world. Chayei Eliki, or the neshama in the body, we know it's functioning. Okay?
You know it's there.
We know it's there. How it functions, we don't know. And what the essence is, we definitely don't understand.
What is he saying about what does that have to do with?
One second, he's not done yet. Now we can understand, but this you understand, it says, Molei chol haaretz kvedei. The pasuk says, Molei chol haaretz kvedei. Hashem's glory permeates the earth. The Targume, what does it say in Targum? We say Nuvolotzian, Ziv Yikarei, a ray of his greatness. Shurak Ziv is Tashtus Sa'ara Bilvat. Right? Yet another. So what is coming into the world? The Alter Rebbe is going to be asking a contradiction between two psukim. One pasuk says, Molei chol haaretz kvedei, and Targum says, Ziv, a ray of the Shekhinah, is on the earth. Another pasuk says, Alei says Shemayim v'Haaretz Ani Molei. Ani means I, not my ray. Hashem says. So l'chayra, how do you reconcile these two things? One pasuk says, in the earth is a ray of the Shekhinah, the ray of Hashem, and another pasuk says, Alei says Shemayim v'Haaretz Ani Molei. Ani, not my ray. And he says, Va'in shneim emes. Both are true. How can both be true? Is it a ray or is it the essence? He said, V'zeh shamer azal. Chazal say, in the place where you find Hashem's greatness, Sham atameitam v'sanusei. There you find His humility. In other words, where you see, and he's going to explain what that means, where you see Hashem's greatness, there you see His humility, that He's lowering Himself from His infinite, above infinite state to deal with petty, worthless, worldly things. He says, what the pasuk means to say is not like the world thinks. What is the greatness of Hashem? People say, oh, you want to know what the greatness of Hashem is? He sustains the whole universe, or the spiritual universe. You know, so it's not true. That's fakert. That is a descent of godliness. That is not the greatness of Hashem. That's the way Hashem is lowering Himself and limiting Himself and concealing Himself to deal with the world. He says, Adrabah, Zu Yerida, actually this is a complete descent. It's a lowering. Shamash bel atzman, that he lowers himself, umislabish te'kol alman lachiyusim l'kaima. Forget, it's not the greatness of Hashem, it's the lowness of Hashem. That he has to limit himself to come into a finite world.
That's what he wants.
We're not saying he wants. That's what he wants. Of course that's what he wants. But the fact is, what does he want? To take this super above infinite level and look what?
Everybody has a tremendous affinity toward their own creatures. If you create something, you develop, it's part of you, that naturally develops such affinity.
By the way, just for the record, that's not necessarily true. I'll give you an example.
Really?
I'll give you an example. Animals, after they give birth, and that's it. There's no, at the beginning, yeah.
They're animals too.
When the mother takes care of the babies. But once they grow up, there's no more connection anymore, mother and son, or mother and daughter, or the animals.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
No, you're right, because they don't...
Okay, but you're saying if I created, why shouldn't I?
How can you compare animals to human beings?
But you're saying, you said a statement, we find by all creatures have an affinity, a connection. So I'm saying it's not necessarily true.
Right.
Hashem, on the other hand, even though Hashem is so above infinite and finite, Yet he had a relationship and a love and a feeling for all his creations. What do we say now? V'rachamov al kol ma'asav. Hashem has pity, mercy on everything he made. Yeah, but that itself is the fact that Hashem, who is above infinite and finite, lowers himself to deal with worldly things is not his greatness. That's a descent from him. He's limiting himself.
The concept that Ziv is, it says that Ani is the source and comes into Ziv. When we say heaven is Ziv HaShekhinah, so we can say that the essence of Hashem is in heaven also.
It says Shema says Ani Mole.
Yeah.
So Gan Eden is not only Ziv HaShekhinah.
Gan Eden, what they feel is Ziv HaShekhinah. Hashem is all over. Umetum in Yiddish. Umetum means all over.
What they perceive.
What they perceive is only a ray of the Shem. In this world, by doing Torah and mitzvahs, you perceive the essence of Hashem. That doesn't mean Hashem is more in Gan Eden. If Hashem's essence is all over, how do you have higher and lower?
Revelation.
In Revelations, how much is sensed? In other words, higher worlds doesn't mean Hashem is there less. Higher worlds perceive more of Hashem, of godliness. The lower worlds perceive less, but nobody can perceive Hashem. We're not talking about how much Hashem exists there. We're talking in how much Hashem is perceived there. So in this world, in Gan Eden, they perceive Ziv HaShekhinah, a ray of the Shekhinah. That doesn't mean Hashem's essence is here more than there, because the essence is all over the same. It's perception.
Capacity to understand.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's the difference between higher and lower.
Well, someone is sitting, we think he said Kibbutz, and someone is coming just into Gan Eden. The perception is not the same. When Moshe Rabbeinu and Abraham Avinu, they're sitting up there for thousands of years.
Yeah, but they're dying to come. I don't mean dying literally. They're dead already. They're waiting to come back down into a goof.
But the perception
is not what it's going to be when Mashiach comes. Nowhere. It's only a ray of the Shekhinah there. It could be a great ray. You have different rays. You have a little ray, a big ray, a real big ray. So they have a real big ray, but it's a ray. The essence of Hashem's greatness will be revealed only when Tchis HaMesim happens. Then v'ro kol basa v'nigol kved Hashem, v'ro kol basa yachta v'kibikam how's it? I'm going to finish the book. U'molor deus Hashem kamayim l'yom chasim. The whole world will be full of godliness.
Rabbi, the Tchiyat HaMetim is not really physical, is it?
Sure it is. What do you think dead people are going to get? What do you think it means?
So if they come to being, you mean to say they will take space just like we do?
Maybe they'll be a little thinner. They didn't eat for many years. They'll be a little thinner.
The world can't possibly contain.
Trust me.
Earth.
If Hashem made the world and Hashem makes Tchis HaMesim, He can make enough place for everybody. I promise you. He told me. He said, don't worry, I'll make place for everybody. What? What?
During the time of Chayei is a time where Hashem is galui ever. There is no
Well, he won't be concealed anymore. The essence of Hashem will be revealed. That means the essence of Hashem that's above finite, above infinite, above all that, that will be revealed. And that's the ultimate purpose of creation. Now, according to the Rambam, it's not the ultimate purpose of creation, because the Rambam holds that the ultimate greatness of revelation of Hashem cannot be in a physical world. The Ramban and Chassidus and Kabbalah, they maintain, and that's the way obviously we hold, that no, Dafke and Gashmias is the ultimate revelation of God more than Ruchnias. In other words, we learned this many times, the ultimate manifestation and revelation of godliness can only be in Gashmias, not in Ruchnias. And therefore, ultimate revelation of Hashem will be in a Neshama and a Guf. Tchias HaMeis. The ultimate revelation of the real essence of God, that He is what's called Mitziuse Me'atzmuse, of self-existing entity. Not that He has the expression Ein Lo Tchila. There are many things that have a beginning, that were made, and they're Ein Sof, unlimited, right? But the greater level of that is they never had a beginning. Okay? Now that is an infinitely greater level than something that has a beginning. That means one time he wasn't there, somebody made him, and he happens to be infinite. Something that wasn't made is not at all limited in any shape, form, or size. Right? That aspect of God, that He has no beginning, is manifested and revealed through physical more than spiritual. To explain it, we learned this many, many times. Spiritual feels its source. Spiritual feel is batul to ruchnius. It's connected to its source. The sunlight is connected to the source. You look at the sunlight, you see it's the sun. There's no sun, there's no light. Correct? That means ruchnius has a source and is batul to the source. Yes? That's what it feels. Now, before I go further, let me just explain something. In our world, in our realms, if it's not existing in one of the five senses, in my world it doesn't exist. If I don't see it, taste it, smell it, feel it, whatever the five senses are, right? It doesn't exist. If I walk into this room and there's nothing in the room, okay, and I say there is nothing in the room, is that a lie or truth? It's truth. There's air and atoms and molecules and germs and all that stuff, but if I don't see it, taste it, smell it, whatever, it doesn't exist. Therefore, even according to halacha, if a guy walks into an empty room, stands outside the empty room, okay, with a woman, and he gives her a ring in front of two witnesses, and says, on condition that the room is empty. She becomes an Eishes Ish, she commits adultery, she gets killed, right? What do you mean there's nothing in the room? There's stuff in the room. But from my perspective, there's nothing in the room. Correct? So it goes by my perspective. Now, Gashmias, physical, is Yesh Mi'ayin. What does it mean Gashmias is Yesh Mi'ayin? What do you mean ayin? Because Gashmias is unaware of its source. It's not bottled to its source. That's why it's Yesh. It's a Yesh coming from an ayin. Now that doesn't mean ayin is nothing created me, but the bottom line is, from my perspective, my Torah perspective, what's called Das Tachtin, Bereishis bara Elokim es hashemayim es haaretz, Hashem created the world. Yet bara means Yesh Mi'ayin. Why is it called Yesh Mi'ayin? Because I don't feel my source. If I would feel my source, I would be bottled to it. Right? You could look out in the world, you could say, God forbid, there's no God. You don't see him, you don't feel him, you don't smell him, you don't taste him, right? So in my world, it doesn't exist. If that's the case, what is my source? No, myself. If I don't feel my real source, it's called Yesh Mi'ayin, so therefore what is my source? Me.
So physically we are...
1 second. Therefore, Gashmius is really, from their perspective, Mitziutzi Matzmusei, a self-existent entity. Right? Which means Gashmius reveals which aspect of Elokus? Not like Ruchnius, that he has a source, but the essence of Hashem, that is Mitziusi Matzmusi, self-existent entity. So in other words, because Gashmius doesn't feel its source, unlike Ruchni, the fact is Gashmius reveals a deeper level of Elokus than Ruchnius does. Ruchnius reveals the Ein Sof of godliness, that God is infinite, but not that he has no beginning. Gashmius reveals the aspect of a God that has no beginning. Therefore, when a Chis Mesim happens and the source of everything will be revealed, that level of Mitziusim Yatzmusei can only be revealed in Gashmius, which is Mitziusim Yatzmusei, rather than in Ruchnius. Therefore, according to Chassidus and Kabbalah and the Ramban, the ultimate is Dafkin Gashmias. And that's why Torah mitzvahs are only in the physical. Why does Hashem make spiritual Torah mitzvahs like the Ovis? The Ovis did spiritual Torah mitzvahs. Right? Everything was spiritual then. Didn't have physical tefillin, physical lulav, physical... It was all ruchnias. So what was wrong with that? Because the purpose of creation was to reveal the essence of Hashem Dira, the dwelling to the essence, in the Tachtein. So that can only be revealed through Gashmias. And therefore Torah Mitzvahs is only in Gashmias. What?
That is connected to the part of the Chayei that on Mala directly?
The neshama is that, yes. I mean, it's a whole, yeah. To answer your question, yes or no, yes. But therefore, the neshama's greatness can only be sensed when it's in the physical body. Because that's when the neshama is able to function in dir of tachtein. Otherwise it doesn't do anything. What?
When you say yesh mi'ayin, so we know that yesh came from ayin. We don't feel it, but we know it.
What do you mean you know it? You know it? You feel it?
I know.
Then you don't know it. Knowing is feeling.
You say yesh mi'ayin.
Yeah. I have no source. That's what I feel. I can talk intellectually, yeah, there has to be that, but it's not what I feel. I mean, I'm going to ask you a question, don't answer me. Okay, don't incriminate yourself. Do you ever do once a year, once every 10 years, a little sin? A mini sin? Yeah? Okay. Let's not incriminate each other. Yeah? That means you didn't feel God. If you felt God, even that thing wouldn't happen. For that temporary insanity that you did a little Aveda once a year, you know, it says in certain Machzeirim, it's a joke. I don't think it's a joke. Somebody told me they actually saw it. It says, Nochen lasis Aveda kala lefnei Yom Kippurim. It's good to do a little sin before Yom Kippur. You'll have what to do tshuva on. It's good it's appropriate to do a little sin, you know, then at least you'll have what Yom Kippur won't be a waste today, you know, you'll have what to do tshuva.
It's not me, it's Ruach.
No.
It's Ruach too.
Okay, yeah, right. The question is, are we the Ruach Shtus or are we the we? But according to Torah, we're not the Roshtas. But that's why, okay, that's why the Gashmis is the main thing. No, it's